This is an original fictional story. Any resemblance to real people, places, or events is purely coincidental. Amanda did not believe in being caught off guard twice in one day. By noon, that belief had already failed her. Evelyn Hart had always had a gift for arriving exactly where she shouldn't and looking perfectly at home there. She stood in the center of Amanda's lobby in camel cashmere and old money composure, silver blonde hair cut to suggest taste sharp enough to wound, one hand tucked into the pocket of her coat as if she had every right to appear unannounced in Amanda Mercer's building and stop her in her tracks. Amanda hated how little surprise she allowed herself to show. "Evelyn," she said, perfectly polite. "This is unexpected." Evelyn's mouth curved slightly. "That bad, darling?" Amanda's answering smile was flawless and cold enough to pass for manners in expensive company. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Which, in Amanda's language, meant, "What are you doing here?" Evelyn heard the translation immediately. She always did. "I sent 2 messages," she said. "You ignored both." "I've been busy, so I noticed." Amanda shifted the folder under her arm. Around them, the lobby continued in careful motion. Assistants crossing the floor with coffee trays, security murmuring into earpieces, the low hum of wealth trying to sound quiet. None of it touched the line of tension standing between 2 women who had once known each other far too well. "You could have gone through my office," Amanda said. Evelyn gave her a look that was almost fond and nowhere near gentle. "And missed the opportunity to see your face in real time?" Amanda nearly exhaled. Not because Evelyn was wrong. Because she wasn't. "What is it you need?" Amanda asked. The phrasing was elegant enough to frame itself on a wall. Civil controlled. Impossible to criticize unless you knew Amanda well enough to hear the knife inside it. Evelyn did. She looked Amanda over slowly, taking in the black suit, the ivory silk, the polished gold hair, the perfect posture, and the extra strain around Amanda's eyes that only history had earned the right to recognize. Then, very softly, with sudden wicked clarity, "Oh, darling. Who is she?" Amanda went still. Not visibly. Not enough for anyone hurrying across the lobby to notice. But still, "I'm afraid I don't know what you mean." Evelyn's expression sharpened with amusement. "No." Amanda's smile cooled by another degree. "If you came here for something specific, Evelyn, I'd be happy to hear it. If this is nostalgia, I really don't have the bandwidth." The line was beautiful. Polished. Cutting. Controlled. And just cruel enough to confirm the thing Evelyn had already suspected. Because from the elevator several yards away, Sofia Bennett stepped into the lobby in time to hear Evelyn say, in a quiet voice that carried further than volume should have allowed, "You only ever get this cruel when you're interested." Amanda's eyes flicked once, just once, toward the elevator. Too late. Sofia had heard it. Evelyn noticed that too. Of course she did. The faintest understanding lit her face, and before Amanda could stop her, Evelyn laid one warm, familiar hand against the center of Amanda's back. Not possessive. Not dramatic. Just intimate in the effortless way only history ever was. "Come on," Evelyn said lightly. "Let's go to lunch." Amanda should have moved away. She didn't. That was the worst part. Not because she wanted the touch. She didn't. Because removing it, right there in the middle of the lobby, would have created a scene. Amanda Mercer did not make scenes in public, unless she intended to win them. So she let Evelyn guide her toward the private elevator with all the confidence of someone who had once kissed her in the dark and still remembered where the pulse lived. Every step of the way, Amanda was aware, painfully aware, of Sofia standing in the lobby watching. Sofia stayed where she was until the elevator doors closed. Only then did she move. Connor from legal intercepted her halfway across the marble floor with a question about revised donor language, and Sofia answered him on instinct while some quieter, less reasonable part of her remained fixed on the image that had just embedded itself under her skin, Evelyn's hand on Amanda's back, Amanda not shaking it off. That one devastating line dropped between them like a lit match. "You only ever get this cruel when you're interested." Sofia hated jealousy on principle. Found it undignified. Overheated. A poor substitute for clarity. This wasn't that. This was cleaner. A single hard thought settling into place. So that's how someone who knew her touched her. That, more than the line itself, was what bothered Sofia. Not that Amanda had a past. Of course she had a past. Amanda looked like a woman who had been wanted often and allowed very little. It was the familiarity of the touch. The fact that another woman could cross the lobby of Amanda's building, read her face in one glance, and lay a hand on her like she had every right. Sofia did not enjoy what that stirred in her. But she wasn't going to lie about it either. When Connor finished speaking, she gave him the answer he needed, watched him walk away, and crossed the lobby at an unhurried pace that no one would have recognized as restraint. At the reception desk, Mara looked up. "That looked expensive," she murmured. Sofia's mouth moved despite herself. "You have no idea." Mara lowered her voice. "Former board member. Former something else, too. If the gossip archive in this building can be trusted." Sofia took that in with a stillness that was entirely deliberate. "Useful building," she said. Mara's eyes flicked toward the closed private elevator. "Dangerous one." Sofia gave the faintest nod and kept walking. She had work to do. That was, increasingly, the problem. Because she was very good at her work. Very good at looking at systems instead of stories, behavior instead of ego, pressure instead of performance. Amanda Mercer had started as a pressure point. A fascinating one, yes, but still just a pressure point. Now, standing in the center of Amanda's building with Evelyn's lines still echoing in her mind, Sofia was beginning to suspect the system had become personal. That was not ideal. It was also very obviously true. Lunch took place 3 blocks away in a private restaurant lined in smoked glass and polished wood, where the waiters moved like silence had been included in the dress code. Evelyn had chosen it on purpose. She used to choose everything on purpose. Amanda sat across from her in a curved leather booth with untouched water in front of her, and her irritation arranged so elegantly it could almost have passed for composure. Outside, the city blurred in wet gray and silver. Inside, everything smelled faintly of citrus, dark wood, and money trying not to seem loud about itself. Evelyn watched her over the rim of a wineglass. "You look exhausted," she said. Amanda reached for her water. "And you look persistent. That's kinder than what you used to call it." Amanda did not smile. "Why are you here, Evelyn?" It wasn't a question anymore. Evelyn set down the glass. "I need a favor." Amanda gave her a dry look. "I'm stunned. There's a non-profit board seat opening up. Strategic oversight, donor restructuring, tasteful chaos, the usual." She crossed one leg over the other. "They want someone who can walk into a mess and make it feel disciplined in under a month." Amanda's expression barely changed. "And naturally you thought of me." "I did." Evelyn tilted her head. "You were always very good with impossible things." Amanda looked down at the menu she had no intention of opening. "I don't have time." "That's not the real answer. It's the only one you're getting." Evelyn let the silence sit between them a little too comfortably. Then softly, "Who is she?" Amanda looked up. "You're repeating yourself. And you're avoiding me with more style than usual." "There is no she." Evelyn gave her the same look she used to wear when Amanda lied well, but not perfectly. "Darling." That tone. God. Amanda's voice cooled by degrees. "You heard me." Evelyn leaned forward slightly, just enough to sharpen the intimacy of the moment. "I watched you cut me open with a teaspoon for 2 years, she said. "I know exactly what you look like when something gets under your skin." Amanda held her gaze. No flinch. No retreat. No visible reaction at all. Inside, fire moved over dry wood. Evelyn went on, a little softer now. "You're sharper than usual. Quieter than usual. Meaner than usual." Amanda picked up her water glass and took a measured sip she did not need. When she set it down, her hand was perfectly steady. "So either the company's on fire," Evelyn said, "or there's a woman." Amanda almost smiled then. Almost. "The company is never on fire." Evelyn laughed under her breath. "There she is." Lunch arrived. Neither of them cared. They spoke about governance failures, donor influence, restructuring, old names Amanda still had no interest in hearing, and the board seat Evelyn wanted her to consider. Amanda refused it twice in flawless language. Evelyn ignored both refusals with all the patience of a woman who had once known exactly how Amanda sounded right before she gave in to something she had already decided she didn't want. By the time they stood to leave, Amanda felt scraped clean in all the wrong places. At the restaurant door, under the awning in the fine silver rain, Evelyn buttoned her coat and gave her one long look. "Be careful," she said. Amanda looked at her. "With what?" Evelyn's expression turned unexpectedly gentle, with the one who makes you forget to be bored. Then she kissed Amanda's cheek with the ease of an old life, stepped back, and disappeared into the wet city without waiting for an answer. Amanda stood under the awning for a moment longer than necessary, staring out at the rain-dark street. Then she got into the car and went back to work, angry enough to sharpen steel. By the time she returned to the tower, Amanda had transformed the lunch back into what she needed it to be. An inconvenience. A pointless interruption. An old flame with too much time and not enough restraint. That was the official internal filing. What did not fit the filing system was the image waiting for her when she stepped back onto the executive floor. Sofia halfway down the hall near conference room A, one hand braced against the glass wall as she listened to a project lead with her usual impossible steadiness. People looked calmer around her. That had begun to irritate Amanda beyond reason. Now it did something more dangerous. It reminded her of the lobby, of the elevator, of being seen. Amanda did not slow, did not pause, did not look too long. And still, somehow, Sofia lifted her head and caught her glance from 15 feet away. Not by accident. That was what set Amanda's pulse off. Not the eye contact. The certainty of it. The fact that Sofia had heard something she should not have heard and now knew too much. Amanda kept walking. Sofia looked back at the project lead and continued the conversation as if Amanda's entire presence were not an active force field moving down the corridor. That, too, irritated her. It should not have mattered whether Sofia looked after her. It mattered. Far too much. And if you're still here with me, take a second to like and subscribe. Stories like this only reach more people when YouTube sees real engagement. And tell me in the comments where you're listening from and whether Sofia was already jealous in that lobby scene. By evening, the building had shifted into one of those polished social rituals Amanda privately hated and publicly tolerated. A donor reception. Glass walls. Expensive lighting. Wine chosen by people who liked hearing themselves talk about oak and finish. Too many conversations disguised as chance encounters. The event was being held on the tower's upper terrace level, an indoor-outdoor space with low black seating, gold-tinted light, and a rooftop balcony that opened over the city like the edge of a ship. Amanda arrived late on purpose. She always did. By then, the room was full enough for her entrance to matter. She had changed only slightly. Same authority, different temperature. The black suit was gone, replaced by a deep champagne silk blouse under an ivory dinner jacket and slim black trousers that made her look taller, leaner, even less touchable than usual. Her gold hair caught the rooftop light like polished metal. Her mouth was still set in that faint, elegant hardness that had once made men twice her size lose track of their own arguments in under 10 seconds. People turned when she walked in. Investors straightened. A man from strategy nearly dropped his drink trying to greet her too fast. Amanda moved through the room with that same impossible self-possession, acknowledging people just enough to keep them grateful and never enough to make them comfortable. And through all of it, she was aware of Sofia. Not immediately beside her. Not even in her line of sight at first. Just there, like pressure before weather breaks. Sofia stood near one of the outer glass walls speaking to a donor representative, dark hair still pulled back, black trousers, dark blouse, a glass in her hand and that same maddening steadiness in the set of her body. She looked good. That irritated Amanda on principle. It irritated her more when she realized Sofia was warmer tonight, not careless, never that, but easier around other people than she had ever been around Amanda. There was quiet humor in the way she tilted her head while listening, a faint smile at one corner of her mouth that she almost never gave Amanda. More than one person was drawn to her. Amanda hated how quickly she noticed that. She hated even more that Sofia noticed Amanda noticing. Their eyes met across the room. Held. Released. Later, near the bar, Sofia passed close enough to say in a voice low enough to feel private, "You clean up well." Amanda turned just enough to answer. "And you've grown conversational." Sofia glanced at her over the rim of her glass. Occupational hazard. Amanda should have left it there. Instead, she said, "You seemed entertained in the lobby." Sofia's expression did not change. "Interesting lunch?" Amanda's jaw tightened almost invisibly. Sofia saw that and, for the first time in a way that truly mattered, did not back off. "Former board member?" she asked. Amanda's gaze sharpened. "You're making assumptions." Form or something, Sofia said. Amanda took a step closer. Music drifted softly through the room. Laughter rose and fell near the far side of the terrace. The city beyond the glass had gone dark and luminous at once. She was asking for a favor, Amanda said. Sofia studied her. I'm sure that was all. That line landed lower than Amanda was prepared for. She should have been furious. Instead, heat rose in her body so quickly it felt almost humiliating. Careful, she said quietly. Sofia's eyes did not leave hers. You've had a long day. I can tell. Amanda nearly laughed. How observant. Sofia tipped her head toward the balcony doors. You look like you need air. It was not an invitation. Not exactly. That made it worse. Amanda stared at her for one beat too long, then said, You seem very interested in what I need. Sofia's answer came low and clean. Tonight? Maybe I am. Then she walked away. Amanda remained exactly where she was for 3 full seconds before following. The balcony was empty. Of course it was. Below them, the city stretched in dark glass and ribbons of white and gold. Wind lifted at the edge of Amanda's jacket, cool against the heat under her skin. Behind them, the reception glowed warmly through the glass. All reflected light and curated laughter, and people who still thought control was the same thing as calm. Amanda stepped out first and turned toward the skyline, then turned again when she heard the door open behind her. Sofia closed it softly. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Amanda said, You're getting reckless. Sofia came to a stop a few feet away. No, you're getting harder to ignore. Amanda laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. That confidence of yours is becoming exhausting. Sofia slipped one hand into her pocket against the wind. And you're becoming very easy to read. Amanda turned fully toward her now. The city burned behind her in white and gold. She looked breathtaking like this, furious, elegant, too tightly held together. Sofia's eyes moved over her once, not hungrily, not carelessly, but with the kind of attention that felt far more dangerous. Amanda felt it everywhere. In her throat, in her chest, in the fine, treacherous tension along her wrists and spine. What exactly do you think you know? Amanda asked. Sofia was quiet for a beat. Enough. Amanda's mouth curved without humor. You heard one sentence in a lobby and now you think you understand me? I think, Sofia said, that your ex walked in, looked at you once, and knew someone had gotten under your skin. Amanda's face changed. Just slightly. Enough. And I think, Sofia went on, stepping closer, she wasn't wrong. Amanda's control frayed at the edges. You don't know anything about my past. No, Sofia said. I know about your face. Amanda took a step toward her. Now the air between them felt alive. Dangerously thin. You're making an extraordinary number of assumptions tonight. Sofia didn't move. You're reacting like none of them are wrong. Amanda's breath had gone uneven. She hated that Sofia could hear it. Hated even more that Sofia heard it and stayed exactly as calm as ever. The worst part was that calm. That infuriating, grounded stillness. Amanda's voice dropped lower. You think this is amusing? No, Sofia's eyes held hers. I think you've been wound tight since the day I met you, and I think you hate that I can see it. Amanda's whole body went hot. You have no idea what I hate. Sofia pushed herself off the wall she had barely been leaning on and took one step closer. Then another. Only 2. That was all it took. Amanda stopped breathing for a second. Not because she didn't know what was happening. Because she did. And that was worse. Sofia came to a stop right in front of her, close enough for Amanda to feel her warmth through the evening air, close enough for every last polished defense to start looking thin. Amanda's voice was quieter now, but sharper for it. You're out of line. Sofia looked directly at her mouth, then back to her eyes. Maybe. Amanda should have stepped back. She didn't. Sofia waited one suspended second longer, giving her time. Just enough time to stop this if she meant to. Amanda didn't move. So Sofia kissed her. No warning. No softness meant to make it easier. Just certainty. Amanda made a startled sound against her mouth, the kind that should have turned into protest and didn't. One of her hands caught at Sofia's wrist on instinct, but not to push her away. If anything, the grip only held her there. When Sofia pulled back, it was barely an inch. Amanda stared at her, breath unsteady, eyes bright with shock and something far more dangerous. "You're out of your mind." Sofia, very calm, said, "That's not anger. Try again." The line went through Amanda like heat through glass. She should have said something cutting then. Something final. Instead, she just stood there, breathing too hard, still holding Sofia's wrist as if her body had made a decision her pride had not caught up to yet. Sofia looked down once at Amanda's hand around her wrist, then back up at her. "Come with me." Amanda's fingers tightened reflexively. Not refusal. Not quite agreement. Sofia turned her hand, slow and sure, and slid her fingers into Amanda's. Then she led her. Not back into the event. Not toward the lights or the noise or the people who might see the ruin of control written all over Amanda's face. She led her through a side exit, down the private hall, past the service elevator where no one stopped them, and into the waiting silence of the car downstairs. Amanda said nothing. Neither did Sofia. They rode through the city with their joined hands resting between them in the dark, like the beginning of something Amanda had spent half the story trying not to name. Amanda looked down at their joined hands again. Still didn't let go. If this episode pulled you in, like the video and subscribe so YouTube keeps pushing stories like this. And in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what moment stayed with you the most. In the next episode, that kiss follows them all the way home, and Amanda finally stops pretending she doesn't want what Sofia does to her.